morning, you're welcome to Women's Corner. My name is Rose Blossom, and it's always exciting to always be here. Remember, this program runs from Monday to Friday, and today is quite interesting because we have a lot of things have been happening when it comes to relationship and marriage, and we decide to do this because even as much as it's a controversial topic, or it's something we women, we have to address. But anyways, before I introduce my guest, and of course, we usually go for a tip. Now, the tip is about parents raising a girl child. We know as much as you think you can raise a girl child and a boy child the same way, girls, as much as you can be intentional with the men, I think most times it's good to be much more intentional with the girl child. Trust me, it's a girl and probably she's not the pamper in the world, but you have to raise her right. So let's quickly go for this tip. And of course, when we come back, I will introduce my guest. Then we'll start talking about the topic. I'll unveil the topic after that. So stay with us, don't go nowhere. Let's watch Raising a Girl Child tip. We'll be right back.
Tips for parents raising a girl child. Society is progressing and valuing the importance of female birth and raising them to transform them into learned independent individuals. Many parents struggle with raising a girl child as daughters need more encouragement and opportunities to establish themselves in the stereotypical society. Roles of parents in raising a girl child. Parents are the primary mentors of every child. From the day a child is born to the later years, children look up to their parents for guidance, validation, and moral support. Daughters are seemingly more attached to their families and develop a sense of responsibility towards their families. Parents spend more of their time pampering and raising their daughters. Raising awareness about how parents' role impacts their daughters' upbringing is essential. 1. Instilling values. Daughters look up to the bond between their parents and how they treat them to form expectations about bonds with others. Such daughters grow up to be honest, empathetic, nourishing and responsible individuals who respect others. 2. Creating openness. 3. Being communicative. Parents who encourage their daughters to speak up against any wrongs and give importance to their opinions and expressions raise headstrong and independent daughters. 4. Isolated individuals. If the parents are not around their daughters during their growth, they develop a sense of abandonment and do not feel much connection or attachment with their family. Since daughters do not witness any care, nourishment or emotional connection, they become somewhat self-centered as they have looked out for themselves for years. Essential tips for parents raising a girl child. Empower your daughters. Providing quality education. Education is a weapon to empower women as it helps develop a rational and logical understanding of people and situations and help make sound decisions. Giving opportunities. It is essential to provide maximum exposure so your daughter can explore and develop their potential. Apart from education, extracurricular enrollment helps your daughter's physical, mental, and emotional growth. Building strong values. Making your daughters learn more about traditions and cultural importance to keep them grounded in their roots is vital. Nurturing emotional and mental health. Parents must also help their daughters learn to take criticism, neglect societal pressures, manage anxiety and exam stress, and not be affected mentally and emotionally.
Yes, you're welcome back, and yes, you're watching Women's Corner now. That is how to raise a girl child. There are a lot of more tips you can, but you can just Google and of course know how to raise a girl child. Like I said, we're talking about something very controversial. So we are talking about how to manage phobia, marriage phobia for women. You know, there's a deal of every woman wanted to get settled, and there are some women who have this phobia for marriage. They are so scared that they do not want to get into marriage. Why? We do not know. How they can get it right, we do not know. Do you really want us to help them get married? I do not know. It's still the choice of the person, but it has to be for the right reason why you don't want to get into marriage. Not because you have a phobia, but because you just believe you want to remain single all your life. Anyways, like I said, we have an amazing guest that will be doing justice to that topic because she is an emotional intelligence coach. She's a family and life coach also, and she is an amazing person. Her name is Chidima Mwobi. Of course, I hope we know that most times when you have to deal with topics like this, you have to deal with the professionals and let the professional guide you. Now, in as much as I said she's an emotional intelligence coach, a family and life coach, she is also the co-founder of Start Your Marriage Right Academy. Now you can see that I'm bringing the best person to try to stop. So let's quickly have Chidima will be on the screen, please. Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Blossom.
How
are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to have you. It's good to have you. Amazing topic. I can't even wait to just jump into the topic because I want to know why there's even a phobia. Naturally, everybody wants to get married, but I think I've met some persons, it's not about even the phobia. They just don't want to settle down because they feel like whatever is going on in their life is already enough. So adding another person, then having children to add to it, they were, please, I'm not cut out for it. Let me just respect myself. Okay, so I'm going to start with people who have phobia for marriage. Now, a lot of people are scared to get married. Now, there are a lot of instances, but I'll just give you the ones I think can come off from my head. Some people are scared of getting married because of maybe their past relationship, the experiences they've had in relationships. Some persons are also scared of getting married because they feel that they do not want to be controlled. They do not want to be accountable or answerable to someone every day of their life. They still want to have their life. To them, they want to have their life, and at the same time, be somewhat answerable, but not every time. And some other women do not want to be controlled at all because maybe their relationship before, they've always seen men trying to take charge of their lives. So they're like, I'm not going to be under any man. But the truth is they want to get settled, but that's the idea. Now, the last one I want to give as example for phobia is a woman who feels she's very independent. She's very strong. She knows how to, face life challenges on and on. But she just feels like if her kind of person being independent tries to, get married with a man, which of course a man is always independent. That's their forte. But for a woman to be independent, it takes a whole lot. It takes a drive. It takes a passion for you to be independent. Now, imagine she's feeling like I'm independent. I'm meeting a man that is also independent. He's definitely want to be in control of everything. You want to tell me what to do, but it's not like I don't want him to tell me what to do. It's just that I can make my choices myself. Can any man actually understand that this is what it is? This is what I am cut out for. Even if I have to tilt my back just to make this marriage work, I think you should understand that this is another aspect of me I want you to respect, which is being independent and not being, maybe always being told what to do. So now there are a lot of phobias. I know you as an experienced person who has been there for years, you've known some person's phobia and you've heard them, and some are weird, some are strange, but the truth is they do not want to get into marriage because of this phobia. So first, do you think it's possible to overcome these phobias? And if there are more phobias, please share to us and of course give us the way through.
Okay, thank you, Blossom, for that. Like you said, everyone has valid human experiences, and a person's desire or intention to get married or not to get married has been influenced by all of these experiences, and these experiences are valid. And so just riding from what you said, it's important from, the examples you gave of phobia is also because fundamentally people do not even understand the place of marriage and also what marriage means. Because yes, it's okay for somebody to say, I don't want to get married for one reason or the other, but we must also realize that marriage is one of the most intimate expressions of the core human needs. Human beings are created to need love, connection, and a sense of belonging. And the most intimate place we get that is in marriage. That is not also to rule out that a person can choose not to marry, and it's okay, it's not compulsory. But it's important to know that your choice to marry or not to marry must be based on a progressive, healthy perspective. And that's where the phobia comes in. So fear, When you look at, probably people look at their upbringing, they begin to look at the marriages of their parents, the people in their neighborhood, and it could be like, oh, that's not the kind of experience I want to have. So that brings some fear. Or even these days that we have a lot of stories on social media that is talking about the ugly side of marriage, that could also bring some fear. And like you rightly said, a woman's personal experiences. So fear is good. Fear is a natural, valid human emotion that is meant to be a decision-making tool. So for a person who is afraid is to say, why am I afraid? And then to begin to address the reasons why they're afraid, which is why when it comes to answering your question about the phobia, each person must identify what is feeding that fear. Because fundamentally, what is feeding the fear is ignorance. And so we need to replace that ignorance with superior knowledge. Now, when it comes to phobia, phobia is now a heightened, extraordinary fear. It has now gone out of the normal fear. And so it could be something that is very dear to somebody that makes the person dread marriage. So we begin to now look at, what do you need to do? Because if a person wants to marry but has a phobia for it, definitely if the person gets into that relationship, they may not do well if they don't first address the phobia. So starting from your question, the reasons for phobias are different, ranging from a person's upbringing, the person's environment, and these days that we have social media as the large environment that all of us play in, and their personal experiences. So for such a lady who has identified or does not even know why she has the phobia, is to sit with herself and begin the journey of self-discovery and personal development. Begin to sit down and ask yourself, why am I afraid of relationships? Because if it's like because somebody treated you bad, you need to understand that the fact that you were with somebody who did not love you right does not mean that you cannot be loved right. So many times we just allow our past experiences to overwhelm us. Rather, it's for such a man to begin to seek healing, to begin to understand, why did I get attracted to such a person that messed up my self-esteem, that messed up who I am, and then heal from it. So sometimes phobia like this may require therapy. It may require the person sitting with a professional to help her go through her life history, to see the parts, the type of attachment styles she had with her parents have played, to see the part, even innocent relationships during her adolescent years, whether with a boyfriend, a crush, or even the things people in their life have said to them. I for example, growing up, I grew up with a very sensitive skin. And so, people will say, hey, with this your crow body. And even when I was dating my husband, someone would say, so somebody is dating you with this crow in your body. It could give me phobia. I could begin to now, either shy away from him because I'm thinking I'm not worthy. Or even when I get into the relationship, I begin to people please. Like, oh, if this man would ask me out and want to be with me, even with this crow in my body, I must keep him. So even when I'm seeing the red flags, I ignore them. All right. So the things that happen in our lives are actually what feeds the phobia. So I guess maybe I'll pause here and then maybe we will take how to now overcome the phobia in the next question.
Okay, thank you very, very much for that one. Now, it's amazing how you could even dissect and go deep. Now, let's go a bit deeper. Now, for someone who is trying to really overcome the phobia, like maybe has gone through therapy, has spoken to mentors, but somewhere seated deep within, there's still just this little fear. And sometimes I've seen a lot of people whereby even on the wedding day, because of that fear, they've already won their dress. They are supposed to come out and walk to the man. Just at that juncture, they tell you no, they are not going ahead with marriage. And people ask, what is wrong? What did he do? And they say, no, it's not about them, it's me. Which is true, it's them. Now, before one will get to that point, because trust me, there are a lot of people who are waiting for you to get married. Money has been spent, a lot of expectations, and at that point you're caught in it. That's a whole lot. So before women get to that point, I want us to talk to ourselves. I want us to understand what we can actually do so that we do not get to that point where everybody has put in effort to make it work. And now, because you feel you are the problem, you decide to leave, because I feel like that's a selfish act. But please go ahead. Let's understand what we need to do and why we should always try to avoid such scenarios.
All right. Thank you, Blossom, for that. As heartbreaking as that scenario is, if a woman at that point chooses that option, I will still salute her. Because yes, money has been spent, but a broken relationship is better than a failed marriage or having to endure misery. It's just that probably she should have done the work she should have done much earlier, right? So that's why I say to people, you don't wait till you are in the dating pool. You don't wait till you are ready for relationship to get yourself prepared for relationship. Every young girl, since we're talking about women now, from the age of 18, even with the responsibility of the parents, should prepare them, because the first place that marriage preparation starts is from the home. And then actively, when the child is a young adult, there are specific things that should be done. First of all, getting the young girl to know herself, discover herself, to know what makes me happy, what are my values, what are my beliefs, because that is fundamentally what will keep you with another person. But many times people have identities, they don't even know themselves. And with that identity crisis, they might even fall for another person that is not ideal for them. So that's where self-awareness comes from. The second is self-confidence. The young lady should begin to build self-confidence. It's not enough to know yourself. You need to be confident enough to ask for what you want. Because I always tell people, red flags do not just fly from heaven. You have been seeing it in the person, but you were not confident enough to say, I don't want this. This is not what I want to take. For different reasons. You say, oh, if I say, they will say I'm asking too much. Or, oh, maybe if I say he will walk away and I'll be alone. It's better that you speak up. Don't say, hey, when I get into the relationship, it will change. For such people that you see come on the mornings of their wedding and they are having second thoughts, it's because it's dawning on them. Can I do this? And it's not really from a place of positivity. It's from a place of unanswered questions, which is why even as the lady is developing herself, when she gets into a relationship with someone, please invest time in having conversations. Dating is not just about trying out the best restaurants, having sex and all that. No, it is a time of deep investigation and building intimacy. Get to know this person. What are his values? What are his beliefs? What are his dreams about life? What are his life priorities? Where is he headed to? And where he's headed to, do I find myself being with somebody like this? And it's not just you saying, oh, as a woman, you are a helpmeet. You are also a human being created by God. So you should be able to say your own life priorities. You should be able to say your own dreams and see if there's an alignment, so that if there is no alignment, you don't waste your time. I hear people saying, oh, I've been with him for 7 years. The devil I know is better than the angel I don't know. My sister, the devil will break your heart. So the moment you realize it's a devil, you need to be confident enough to know that you deserve better and to bring it to the person's consciousness. Because one thing that you need to overcome phobia in marriage is to ensure that you are with a man who is willing to learn. If you are with a man who is stuck in his ways, who does not see a need to unlearn and relearn, you are signing yourself up for disaster. So when you bring up these things, it's not because anybody is perfect, but these things are a concern to you. But the person doesn't take it seriously. He blames you for even calling him out. He tries to justify gaslighting you or is showing narcissistic tendencies. You need to know that, do you have the self-confidence to walk away before you have invested your heart to it? That's the challenge, because we're raising women to be at the receiving end of the man. You know, like you were talking earlier about a woman being independent, and you say it's okay for a man to be independent. It is equally okay for a woman to be independent. And why should a man want to tell you what to do? You have a brain. You are not daft. You are not a robot. So marriage is a co-equal partnership. And so if you don't see yourself being respected and valued by the man that you're dating or the person that you are in talking stage with, there's no point taking the relationship to the next level, because you will not enjoy that relationship. You need a man that sees you as a co-equal, that respects and values you, that is ready to be with you as much as you want to be with them, is committed to you, and is committed to learning and growing with you, so that way both of you can surmount the challenges. But let's even assume the woman didn't do all of this, and at the end, on the wedding day, she realizes that she's about to make a mistake. I will still validate that she walks away in spite of all the money that has been spent, because she's going to spend much more years of her life in misery than whatever investment she has made for a wedding, because a marriage is definitely much more than a wedding.
Okay, thank you very much for that one. Okay, let's just take a breather right now. Of course, we'll come back to ask her the last question. And yes, let's just go for a tip, just to, take a deep breather, come back. Of course, let us reflect on what Chidima has said, because she has been amazing. And of course, you can see the way she's talking about it is like she's teaching, she's explaining, even when there are clauses to it, explaining the clause and trying to tell that, let you know that there is a better way to everything. Anyways, let's quickly go for this tip. And this tip is about being aware of yourself. Self-awareness, you need it, is very important. Once you're aware of yourself, you know yourself. Like she said, a broken relationship is better than a broken marriage. And we're speaking to the ladies out there. When you know you're not getting what you want, you respect your value, you value yourself so much, you love yourself so much, and somebody out there is making you feel like you're not valued, you're not loved, my darling, it's time to take a walk. Like she said, a broken relationship is better than a broken marriage. But anyways, let's quickly get self-aware of herself, and let's watch this tip. So we'll be right back to continue the program with Chidima, and we are talking about how to manage marriage phobia for women. We'll be right back.
Tips on self-awareness. Number 1. Use personality tests to understand your personal traits. Number 2. Use professional help. A good coach can be invaluable in providing you with feedback that will enhance your level of self-awareness. A good coach can also help you to unravel feedback from others and use it to help you to change. Number 3. Keep notes on yourself. When you make an important decision, it can be helpful to make a note of what you'd expect the outcome to be. What do you think will happen? At an appropriate time, go back to your notes and compare the actual outcome with what you expected to happen. Don't think about what happened. Make sure you also reflect on why it happened. This is called reflective activity. Feedback analysis, the only way to discover your strengths. Number 4, ask someone else. Identify people you know and feel you can trust, and ask them to give you feedback on your personality, habits, needs, and values. It may be helpful to ask people to provide you with feedback anonymously, so that they are more likely to be honest and give you a valid response that is insightful and helpful. Number 5, ask good questions. When you question your own performance, it can be harder to be objective about receiving negative feedback. When you show that you are equally open to all types of feedback, you demonstrate self-awareness and willingness to learn. Asking questions models a solid, transparent approach to a problem-solving and decision-making that everyone in the organization will benefit from. It also encourages others that it's okay to not know everything, and that to be constantly learning is a good thing. Number 6, listen to feedback without justifying. When you have solicited feedback, it's crucial to listen to it without justifying yourself or your actions. Otherwise, people will stop giving you feedback. And if you're busy defending yourself, you probably miss out on what the person is trying to tell you. However, if you listen and accept feedback without defending yourself, you're more likely to hear what you need to hear and learn from it. You will also increase your credibility with the person and create a trust bond that will encourage them to continue giving you helpful feedback in the future. Number 7, be open to change. You can't become self-aware if you're not actively interested in improving yourself and your leadership skills. It takes sustained effort and focus, and you won't achieve it unless you regularly check in and refocus your efforts. Just doing this is self-awareness in itself and a key step to developing it. However, having the desire to improve is only half the battle. You need to be open to change, but lasting improvement only happens when we have the will to change a habit or behavior and the self-awareness to hold ourselves accountable for that change. Number 8, identify the personal habits holding you back. We all have personal habits that stops us from being mindful and aware. There are like background processes running in your brain that drain your energy, that distract you on what you should be focused on. If you want to improve as a leader, you need to reprogram your brain for good habits, and honing your self-awareness will help you do this. Define your bad habits. You don't even need to change them initially. Just train yourself to notice them, and then you can start to change direction. Number 9, embrace your intuition. Successful leaders trust their gut instinct and are prepared to take the risk associated with them. Our instincts are based on the survival of the fittest and our needs to succeed. They help us decide what to do next and how to prioritize. Learn to trust these instincts and act on them. Number 10, be aware of others too. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses will help you make a better leader, but it's also helpful to be a keen observer of others. Strengths and weaknesses too. If you're open-minded and objective, having different types of people on board will also help to further your self-awareness and deepen your appreciation for variety. Having the right complement of people in the team and a supportive learning environment will help you see clearly what you do well and what others do well.
Right, yes, you're welcome back. You're still watching Women's Corner. And of course, it's been an amazing ride because we have Chidima Nwobi talking to us about how to manage our marriage phobia, especially for women, because this is Women's Corner. Can we have Chidima on the screen again? Let's ask the last question. Okay, it's good to have you back. Welcome.
Great to still be home.
Okay, so the last question I want to ask is, I feel that before you even start knowing you have this fear for marriage, I feel like there are some, let's use the simplest term, even though it does not really describe what I want to say, but I think it's the closest, is what are the signs or symptoms, allow me to use that word, that it could tell even a mother, it could tell even the child that, okay, I think with these signs and these things that I'm doing, this idea, this method, I think if I continue in this line, or if these signs or these symptoms can persist, I might actually have phobia for marriage, and that might ruin whatever I have planned for the future. Now, why I'm asking for what are the signs and symptoms is because not just we identifying that, okay, I think I'm having marriage phobia. It's not just for us to identify, but also our parents to see those signs so that they can know, okay, this thing, if I see it in my child, it means that she might actually develop a phobia for marriage and not want to settle down. Now, it's in two ways. we knowing and we trying to work on it at the early time when there are still signs and symptoms is not yet a phobia, but is tilting towards that side. And also for our parents or for people who love us, who are around us, when they see these things, it's like, hey, babe, slow down. You might start not wanting to get married the way you are going about your life or your options. So what are those things we need to see? Basically, very quickly, like in about 2 minutes, that we would see in our friends, women basically, or we'll see for ourselves and tell ourselves, okay, if I don't put this under check, under control, I might develop phobia for marriage.
Okay, so maybe let's start with antagonistic towards men. And maybe not directly a relationship, even on social media, something is trending about a man or whatever, and you're like, oh, those stupid men, those men are scum. So your language already begins to show your perception of men. So you begin to listen to, excuse me, begin to listen to what somebody says about men. Then you're beginning to see the child is growing, but she doesn't have any male friends. I'm not necessarily saying somebody you're dating, but you look through the men, it's just like only her and her female friends, no male company. That should begin to make you, okay, what's happening? Because naturally, as you grow, there's this desire to want to also have friends of the opposite sex. So if you're not seeing that happening, you're wondering. And weekends, or even when there's parties or an opportunities to hang out, your daughter always wants to be indoors. She doesn't want to socialize. She's not going out. You go to church and immediately service is over. They ask for the youth to wait behind. She's running back home. You're starting to wonder, what about this girl is making her avoid social occasions where she can meet men? All right. So that gives you some insight. You're even seeing beyond just the male companionship now, how she is also with her female friends. Is your daughter somebody that is people pleasing? Oh, she's always trying to keep a relationship. So even if her female friends do something to her, she will not speak up. She bottles her own feelings. That tells you there's some tendency of people pleasing. So you want to get to the root to understand where it's coming from. Or she has a fear of intimacy. Very important. She doesn't want to befriend people. She doesn't want to go out towards them. Or your child is overly, and I use the word intentionally, overly independent, not allowing people into her space, not wanting to even share herself, like, oh, taking advice from people, but just like I do my own thing, I'm my own woman. That is also a red flag to say, okay, what is funding this overly dependence? Because maybe the daughter has noticed how a woman was maltreated, and she's like, that can never be me. Because those things unconsciously puts up some airs that, send men away from you. So these are signs to notice. And even if you're close to your child, you should also know maybe when she has her first heartbreak or when a relationship goes bad, and help her to process it. Because we internalize those experiences and begin to judge future relationships with our past experiences. And for every parent that wants to help the child overcome marriage phobia, fix your own marriage. Your marriage is the first example that your child sees. So if the atmosphere at home between you and your husband is not healthy, is not safe, that is the first place where phobia for marriage comes up. And for the men, the fathers of such daughters, please build a solid relationship with your daughter. A father is a girl's first love, and a father is the first person that exemplifies who a man is. So if you don't have a relationship with your daughter as a father, she can develop phobia for marriage through her interaction with you and the interaction you have with her mother.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I love that part where you talked about parents being a father, and of course a father to a girl child, because I've noticed that most girl child are usually closer to their fathers, and that's amazing because I feel like he's the first teacher of love to you. He's the one that tells you how much he loves you. You understand real love. So if your father loves you so much and shows you how much he loves you, trust me, when you see someone who does not love you, you would know, because you'll be like, but my dad does this. So I feel like somebody who's outside that loves me beyond this fatherly love should even probably want to do better. So yes, I totally agree with the father relationship, father-daughter relationship. Anyways, we've come to the end of the program. Chidinma, thank you so very much. You were in, but you know, there's a lot of gist we have to gist about this topic, because we could not even go deep into exactly what this phobia has ruined for women. We're supposed to probably even share experiences of people and talk about the way forward. But of course, we can always have a part 2 of this topic, and I'll be so glad to have you back again to continue with this topic on this program. So thank you very much from all of us at Galaxy TV. We do appreciate you, we love you, and we say thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show.
I did. Thank you for having me, and regards to everyone in the team.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, and that's it from Chidinma Nwobi. She did amazingly. Let me use Mr. Macaroni's language, fantabulously well. It was deep, it was the truth, it was something we need to embrace and understand. Sometimes the truth can be bitter, but it's always good to save yourself the headache, learn the truth, stick with it, and make life work better for you. And